Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he's here. The man, the legend, the muscle of the Starz universe, ladies and gentlemen. The brother's name is the Dom, Dominic Santana. Put your hands together. What's going on, brother?
What's up, brother?
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I was a little under the weather earlier, but took all my supplements and everything and hit the gym and started feeling a lot better.
Hey man, that gym can really let you feel good, can if you're hitting it properly, hitting it right. It's therapy.
Oh yeah, it's therapy, and I almost didn't go today because at that time I wasn't feeling too great, but then I was like, got to get the blood flowing. That's how you fix it. Get the blood flowing. So I took my happy ass in the gym.
hey, lightweight, baby. You know what I'm talking about. Lightweight.
Oh yeah. So, the King, Ronnie Coleman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this brother, before I even tell you the guys' story, let me tell you this, Dominique. On my channel, when I do these interviews, I give everybody that sits across from me the 2-laugh guarantee. You guarantee to laugh 2 times in this interview, or else I will give you one of my top 5 favorite stocks share. So I got to get you to laugh twice in this video. Yeah,
I gotta hold a stone face. Then I like stocks.
No holding stone faces up here. See, that's a laugh already. See,
that's my laugh. I made me laugh on that one. No, I love the laugh, so I already know I'm gonna lose that one.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe we can rap about stocks too, man. I'm pretty vetted in the portfolio, so I'll holler at you about that in a little bit. But ladies and gentlemen, this man hails from 2 hours from where I live, North Carolina, Fayetteville at that. Been acting damn near well over a decade, and you've seen him in major hits such as All Eyez on Me playing Suge Knight, and in his latest portrayal, he's on Hightown playing Chuleta, the best muscle that the Starz universe has ever seen. Having said those things, Dom, take me from the beginning. Take me back to your upbringing in North Carolina and how you transitioned into entertainment.
Well, yeah, like you said, I am from Fayetteville, North Carolina, born and raised. Military father. My parents, that's where they got together and where I was born. And then, fast forward, they separated and whatnot. I grew up in Fayetteville for the most part. Went to high school, Westover. Shout out to Westover. And then eventually my mother remarried and moved us out west. And so we were out west probably about 5 or 6 years. And coincidentally, it was at the time where like death row was in its prime.
Okay.
So one thing a lot of people don't understand about me is what it meant for me to even be involved in any kind of shape, form, or fashion in Tupac's legacy, because I've been a lifelong Tupac super fan, well before All Eyez on Me or any of that stuff. But at that time in my formative years, that's all you heard on the radio was West Coast music, out there, So that's what I knew. And then eventually we relocated back east to Fayetteville again, which, I came with, the Chuck Taylors on and the Lokes and all that stuff. So I had to readjust to East Coast style. It gave me hell, man. Because I had, like the East Coast slang, the West Coast slang and, all of that stuff. And
they was trying to put that Biggie on you. They was trying to make you start listening.
No, dude, I was just about to go into that. I made the biggest mistake ever. At the time, we didn't hear Biggie like that out in the West Coast at the time. And so when we moved back and I was going into, we moved back, I was going into junior high and then go on and get ready to start high school after that. And I remember somebody said something about Biggie Smalls. And I remember looking up and going, what in the world is a Biggie Smalls? And the whole classroom around me stopped. Like I just said there was no God or something. And, think about it, like the first time you ever heard of Biggie Smalls and somebody said something about Biggie Smalls and you're like, yeah, that's Biggie Smalls. What the hell is that? And,
right.
Oh, man. And I'm on the East Coast. So, yeah, I got hell for that. But, I got quickly schooled to who Biggie Smalls was and Wu-Tang. You know, then I became a Biggie fan and Wu-Tang fan. And, you know, DMX is my other guy. Like, I love DMX.
Yeah, man. Rest his soul. God rest his soul.
Yeah, rest his soul, man. That was my guy. And then fast forward, you know, I get through high school and my family kind of relocated to Wilmington, North Carolina. So my uncle is a pastor. So we grew up mostly going to his church. And my mom was very active in his church at that point. And so he had, you know, decided to move the church from Clinton, North Carolina to Wilmington, North Carolina. And so they all kind of relocated. My mom was like, well, you know, I want to go down there too. And at this time, I didn't know anything about Wilmington or its film community, et cetera. And so I got down there. I was playing football and then, you know, finished with that. You know, I didn't have the need for going to the NFL. And so, you know, I got to a point where it was like, okay, what do I do next? Now, my plan was always, I knew since a little kid that I loved film and wanted to be in film. Something about just watching movies. It was a huge, my mother's doing, because, you know, movie time was a huge part of our upbringing. And so, you know, things were tight growing up at, you know, the first half. So we didn't have the money to, you know, go on vacations or go to the movies every single week and do all of that stuff for a while. And so my mom would make a big to-do about, you know, cooking a big meal on Sundays, renting. This is back when you had Blockbuster and the VHS,
right?
And renting movies, and, you know, whatever the latest movie was that we didn't see in theaters, but it was now on video. And, you know, it'd be our family time. That would be like our little getaways to watch movie. Mama cooked, and she was usually working 2 or 3 jobs, so, you know, it was usually light meals and quick things she would cook. But on movie night, she really went in, you know, and the fried chicken, mac and cheese, collards, all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. So, and then a dessert, you know, it was like one of the only times of the week we could actually have some of her ice cream. And so
whoa. She made ice cream from scratch?
Oh, no. She loved ice cream. But so you know how I was growing up, she would get the Briars and we'd get popsicles. But on movie, so movie night though, we could get some real ice cream.
Gotcha.
And so we relocated from. So that was a huge part of why I loved film so much, because it's special to me. And I was like, man, you know, I fell in love with it, you know, from that, and was like, I want to be the people in the TV, you know. Right. And so we relocate. Fast forward again, we relocate to Wilmington. I came down a little after. I stayed behind a little bit, and then I came down and was like, all right, football's over. What am I going to do now? You know, this ain't LA, so, you know, I can't, you know, pursue film, which was my other dream. My original plan, you know, kids, we have dreams. My original plan was I'm going to go hard, play football, go to the NFL. I'm going to be a superstar in the NFL. And then I'm going to retire, you know, around the 6 to 8 year mark. And then while I'm still healthy and got enough money, you know, then I'll transition, use my fame to go jump into film. That was always my plan from like a little kid. And so when football didn't work out, then I was like, okay, film is next, but how in the hell do you even get in this business? And so fortunately, about a year after being in Wilmington, North Carolina, I learned that they had a movie studio and the film community, and how many things, you know, movies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, I mean, you name it, the list goes on, has been getting filmed in Wilmington for years.
They had that big tax credit in this state during one of them eras. Wilmington and Fayetteville.
Yeah, for years, North Carolina had that. I think it was about a 25, 26% tax incentive, and that's what made it so hard for Georgia to really tackle that market. Once our tax incentive went away, then, you know, Georgia, you know, came with a hefty tax incentive, and all the work went down to Atlanta and surrounding areas. And so, yeah, Georgia was smart, you know, in how they did theirs. But, you know, so I got started in film in Wilmington, North Carolina. And so my first line was like, you know, just a young tender. My first line was on Dawson's Creek. I was an extra on Dawson's Creek.
Really?
And I didn't even audition for that. I got lucky. I was an extra for many months. And a friend of mine who works for, shout out to the Finn Cannon Associates. You probably don't know who they are, but they're a big deal in the casting world. And they were some of the first people, you know, I started auditioning for because they are out of Wilmington, North Carolina originally. And they had an office at the film studio. Yeah, so it was just the grind. I would go and hang out, you know, even when I didn't have auditions, you know, I'd go and hang out, trying to build a rapport and a relationship, you know. And sneaking onto the studio lot, me and my cousin, we'd find ways to sneak into the studio lot, pretend like we're supposed to be there, just to walk around and like just inhale the air in a movie studio, you know. That kind of, you know, that kind of dreaming. And but yeah, so Santana and Associates at the time did regular casting as well as extras, you know, background casting. And so I got really cool with a guy named Tony. I wish I could find him now. It was so long ago, but a guy named Tony I got really cool with, and he was trying to be an actor as well. But he was older than me, and he worked for them in the extras casting side. And we used to just talk and dream. And he was like, "Look, if I ever get a chance to, you know, get you a line, I will do it." And so, you know, people say things. You're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And one day he finally got a line, and so he was the doorman at this club, and in the show, and I was there as an extra, like normal. And the director was getting frustrated because there was some business going on in his scene. And the girls that were in the scene, they moved past the doorman and they were in the background, just kind of there while he and Dawson were going back and forth. And he was like, they can't just stand there. We need somebody else there. So Tony was like, well, we got a guy out here right now that is a real, because I went into club bouncing around age 21. And so he was like, you know, got a guy here who, you know, who's been a bouncer, and he's, you know, he's huge. He's 6'5". And they were like, "Where is he?" And they found me, and they were like, "Can you say this line?" And I was like, I looked at it, said it to the director. He was like, "Good, change his paperwork." You're gonna be in this scene. I had one line, you know, and I was like, I was in heaven. I was like, I'm gonna be on TV in a real show. And it was funny. I love those times because, you know, just looking back now, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what first team was, second team, all of that. I thought I got fired a few minutes after I got the gig because of course, they didn't have time to find somebody that looked like me to be my stand-in. So they go get this white kid who's like, he's around my height, 6'4", but he was a beanpole. And so, you know, they're like, "Okay, good, change the paperwork," and the director walks off. And I'm standing there still in the same spot because I don't know what to do now. And they start moving the cameras over there where we're going to be at. They bring this white kid and they stand him next to me. So they start doing their focusing and measuring and all that. And I'm just looking at this dude like, wait, how did I get fired that fast? I didn't even get to try the part out yet.
Right.
And my boy Tony, he came over laughing at me. He was like, "Dude, you're on first team. He's second team." And I was like, "What the hell is first team and second team?" He was like, "Man, just come with me." And he took me where the actors were, and it was all warm and nice, you know. And so that was my first experience. Then I did One Tree Hill a couple of times, and then just kept moving from there. Swirl Films, shout out to Eric Thomasoonis. He met me early on. His first film, Swirl Films, they're now out of Atlanta. They have ATL studios and whatnot as well, but he's from Wilmington, North Carolina. And so his first film, now they got shows like Saints and Sinners and a bunch of movies. They're constantly doing movies and stuff like that. So, you know, he's blown up now, but back then at that time, you know, his first movie was my first movie as an actor, and we became friends. And then he cast me, and you know, I harassed him for about a year after that because it was just a little bit role, you know, and they were like, you know, again, and then this is at the time, you know, this early on, there's no rock, there's no, you know, the closest thing you have of a big guy actor was like Michael Clark Duncan. There were very few. So at that time, they were only looking for bouncers, bodyguards, you know, the big guy who gets beat up by the little guy, and you know, all those type roles, or big dummy, you know, or the
kind of like type casting during that era. That was kind
super, yeah.
So was that a barrier you had to deal with in this journey in acting?
Yes.
Kind of overcoming that, because I've seen you act, and bro, you can definitely act your you know what off, but you're tall, as you mentioned. You said you're tall. So have you noticed that the typecasting has started to diminish now that we're getting a little bit more variety in the different shows and things that we have going on?
Oh yeah, it's a whole different world now.
Okay.
And then we're not talking like decades ago, so it's changed quite rapidly as the times have changed. So, I guess I kind of found myself in just the right groove of time frame because everything kind of advanced so much into diversity. I think Hollywood
Gotcha.
finally got through their head. People do love beautiful, perfect looking movie stars, but they
Hmm.
find people who look like them to be more relatable. And they will
Yes.
actually, watch stuff and
Mhm.
become long term fans of stuff if they can relate to it. So then it
Right.
started to expand, and now you've got people who are big and tall guys. But yeah, so originally early on, I pissed off quite a few agents because they were just worried about making a check. Me, I was like, no, guys, I'm a real actor. Like I study this
Right.
stuff. I live, breathe, eat it. Um, and I'm a big dude, but I'm actually an actor. I'm not a big dude who just wants to play big dudes in films and stuff and be
Right.
seen. I'm
Right.
actually an actor. I have a brain, because at that
Hmm.
time, big dudes, all the roles you would see, it was like big men in real life didn't have families. They never were in love. They had no brain. They couldn't be CEOs or run anything. So,
Right.
it was always the worst of roles. And I would always be like, no, I'm not doing it. And early on, I wasn't nobody. And so my agents would be like, who are you to turn this down? Like, there's nothing else on the table. Like, well, I don't want to be the big crazy drug dealer. Sorry. Or I
Right.
don't want to be the
Right.
big dummy. Or I don't feel like getting beat up by this little 5-foot guy. It makes no sense. Like, this would not happen in real life. And so I wanted to go, I was the anti guy, everything, all of that stuff. I was like, find me roles where I can use
Mhm.
my brain, where you can see
Right.
me use my skills and my talent other than just getting beat up or beating the living crap out of somebody and being dumb.
Right.
So
Right.
I
Right.
had to fight that, and I was very big on, I understood early that the types of roles I do in entertainment, black children or younger black men, would watch and see these things. So I was very
Mhm.
cognizant of, not to portray stereotypes because at that
Right.
time there was a lot of that too, where you had to be like, I'm
Yeah.
looking at reading
Mhm.
some scripts like black people don't talk like this. We don't
Right.
act like that. You know what I mean? I got a
They
lot
want
of
you to
those roles,
they want you to be a damn clown show. I know exactly what
basically.
you're talking about. Right. And so
Yeah.
I don't know how you had the intestinal fortitude because when you first start out, I know from just talking to other actors, in some cases you don't make no money for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And when you do start getting some roles, you make some money, but it's not like if you
It's
done gone
little.
in the
Yeah.
hole, right. So but bruh, my hat's off to you to be able to reject roles because you had a code. You wanted
Yeah.
to represent everyday people, and you wanted to, when you put your foot forward for minorities, you wanted
Hmm.
it to be something they could be proud of. So, man, hats off to you, bro, because I know you had to
Thank
go through
you.
some
Thank you.
hardship.
Well, I was raised by a very strong woman and very
Mhm.
strong men in my family.
Okay.
So very big on, like you said, having code and not compromising myself. I knew who I was then. See, that's the thing, is foresight. So I behaved as if I was already, and I still do to this day. I behaved as the person I know I was on my way to being. And
Right.
so even, because people would be like, "Oh, you're nobody. You're nothing. Just do what you told and all that." And like, no, you might not see it right now, but I don't care if you don't see it. At the same
Right.
time, I'm the one who has to live, and that's advice for any actors. The roles you do, you are the person who has to live with that role and what you do in that role forever. Your children's children will be able to pull up clips of what you did and say, they either be like, that was my grandfather or that was my grandfather. You know what I mean? So this stuff is forever, and you have people behind the scenes
Mhm.
who will convince you to do XYZ, and they will never be on the screen, so they don't have to worry about how they behave or their immorality or whatever
Right.
coming up. It can't be pulled up in the future. And so, always big on that, and always, trying to. Now, don't get me wrong. Like prime example, Denzel with.
Mhm.
I guess you could use both Training Day and
Yeah.
American Gangster. So American
Right.
Gangster, he was a big time drug dealer, right? And so you're like, well, doesn't that fall into the category of stereotype? No, that story had substance, and there was a purpose of why you needed to know his story, his background, what he came from, and where he was trying to go, and where he ended up. You know, and it was more of a cautionary tale, but it made sense and had substance. So the roles I was turning down were the ones with no substance. Like I will say, I'll give you a quick example of something. I'm not going to say which movie, but I have no shame in saying, it was a Clint Eastwood film. And I was fresh off of All Eyez on Me, and we got this offer for this Clint Eastwood film that was coming up. And of course, I'm excited. I'm like, it's Clint Eastwood. And so I was like, yeah, and I'm reading the script and I'm looking at it. I'm like, man. And it's like, it's the angry black man trope. So not just he's angry for good reason, but it was an angry black man trope. And it's like this, the scene, the movie's out now, so I can talk about it. But the scene, it starts off, I'm just at a soda machine banging on it, cussing the soda machine out. Clint Eastwood politely comes up and tries to help me. And I'm turning around cussing him out and just talking crazy to him. And I'm like, why would this guy be just talking reckless to this old guy that's just trying to be nice? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't even know him. And then fast forward through those scenes, and there's like another scene where this little short cop, this little white cop, knocks on the door he's at a hotel, knocks on the door of the hotel, and he swings the door open, talking shit to him. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So the cop gets pissed. And of course, in 3 hits, the cop, punches me and tackles me down and whoops my ass. And I'm like, these are all the tropes rolled into one, and I'm not interested. My agency was pissed. And they were like, pissed? Come on. But yeah, they were like, really? They were like, we know you don't like the content, but think of what we can roll this into before the movie even comes out. And so I get the business side. They were talking about you on screen with Clint Eastwood. Like, we could work that before the movie even gets out and people see it. I'm like, but dude, I'm the one who has to live with that forever. I'm the one who has to tell my son, oh, don't be this way or don't do that. But, to watch dad compromise himself to, get this money or whatever. And so you got to be more than about money. I've turned down, money, just like my wife and kids. I got an offer for my wife and kids when it was on. And, I have friends that are gay, whatever. I don't care about none of that stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't care about anybody, what preferences they have. But I myself am not gay, right? So it's, there's some things that I just don't feel comfortable doing. And there was an episode where they were going to out of town somewhere, and there was this character who ends up flirting with Damon Wayans' son. I forget his name. And but by they're acting like friends, and then by the end of the episode, you find out he's gay and he's really hitting on, and trying to like really make his son like he thought they were dating. And there's just certain things. Now, when I watched the actual episode, it wasn't that bad. They weren't like tongue kissing and all that other stuff. But I didn't know what it was going to entail, and I was just like, well, I just can't physically kiss a man. Like that's, I'm a good actor. I'm a professional actor, but that is just something I'm not comfortable with. And anybody else want to do it, I don't care if somebody else wants to do it. That's fine. It doesn't bother me if, other people doing it, but, it was just something I couldn't do. And that's just certain things. Yeah, certain things you just, you got to have the things you stand on,
Yeah, and you sound like you sound like you're very comfortable in who you are, which is what has given you the strength to say no to some of these roles. You're comfortable with who you are, and you're making moves anyway. Like I said, I commend you for that.
In Hollywood, you better know who you are. When I say Hollywood, I mean the business, not physical Hollywood. But you have to know who you are, because otherwise you will be asked to compromise yourself. And I ain't talking about the cast and couch or any of that crap that you hear about. I'm just talking about as far as, you might be really uncomfortable with doing something, and, people will try to convince you, like, think about your career, do this, do that, and you will find yourself, when you start compromising yourself, that's the people you see fall off, end up on drugs or, whatever else, because they're hurting. They're really just trying to cover up all the pain that builds up from compromising themselves. So you better stand on something. You better know who you are and stick by it,
100%. Man, I was telling you before we came on air, I almost got beat up today. I did.
Yeah, I gotta know that story.
See, there's a laugh. Gotta laugh. Well, you know, I've been hyping up this interview with you for a whole week. I've been hyping it up, right? So I go to the gym, and believe it or not, there's this group of soccer moms, MILFs, and post-teenage girls. They run up on me. Is Dominic really coming on your YouTube? I said, yeah, he's coming. Well, he better come, or the next time we see you in this gym. That's what they did to me.
Oh, damn.
6 women. And then they're gonna say, and then they're gonna say, we want to, right. Dom, they said to me this. They said, because we want to see his fine ass. That's what they said. Yeah. And they really had fists in my face talking about they want to see your fine ass. So thank you, my brother, for coming.
No
you done saved me some headache. And I'm gonna get their pictures, and we're gonna all be social distancing. I'm gonna get the picture and put it on IG so you can see it.
Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, he is on IG. Well, they're watching, and his IG link is in the video description. Go check him out. Build with this brother. And there's one other thing I want to talk about before we get into kind of recapping this next season. You also had some music. Call me Pope.
Way back.
I'm prepared. I actually got a clip. Ladies, the ones that try to beat me up today, take a 10-second listen at this music.
Ladies, it's your boyfriend. She woke up in the club, every dude try to stop her. Her style is just right, and no other chick hotter. She's on the phone and sexy. She's on the phone and sexy.
Bruh. Let me find out the dude got golden pipes too. Let me find out. Man, how was that? So you've done music, you've done acting.
Yeah.
Are you officially done with music, or are you still kind of tinkering with it?
I still tinker with it. Music was kind of the same thing for me, man, where it was just I've always loved music. I come from a musical family, and so it was just natural. So music and film were both two things I was trying to do at the same time. So a lot of people don't know that, you know, at this point, but I was doing music, but running into the same things, you know, having a code and people asking you to compromise, you know, yourself with that code. And a lot of things happened. You know, I had one deal, it didn't work out. Then a few years later, I actually did a song for this movie. I got linked up with, I can't remember the name of it. That was like a slasher movie. And I got asked to do a song for it, which I'd never done a song for a movie before, but I was like, I'm game, and did this killer song called Chaos. And the director of that film, and he's a pretty known director, and he was he's funny because he's a younger Jewish white guy, and just did not look like anybody that would be a hip hop head. And he just loved my music. And he was like, "You got a CD?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got a demo." He was like, "Let me get it." And then he was like, "You know, my real good friend is he's a music executive over at, you know, this major label." So I was like, "Sure." And he got to working, and he actually lined it up, and they loved me, and they were like, "Hey, you know, we want to sign him." You know, some talking back and forth and things. And so that started happening. It was a huge label, so I was excited. But this was the last time that kind of made me just be like, eh. But, you know, sitting at the table with the contract on the table and everything, champagne, the whole nine, with a pretty sizable deal. And at the last minute, they were like, I actually made that song because my style was more street.
Right.
I'm quite a bit different person nowadays than I was back then. My style was a lot more street, and they were like, you know, we love your music. We're worried that you can't do radio though. Like, can you do a commercial type song? And I was like, of course. And so I went and made that song, Grown and Sexy, with a more commercial feel. And but something that was still dope and still kind of my vibe. And they were like, yeah, so I'm gonna leave them nameless, but they had this, what I feel was a complete, you know, moronic artist that happened to blow up on their label. And and he's still moronic, but they were like, hey, and it was all the rage at that time what he was doing. And they were like, you know, we kind of want you to be, you know, switch your style up a little, do some music kind of like what he's doing. And I was like, is this a joke? Because I thought he was a clown. I was like, is this a joke? This is an insult. Like, I'm a real artist. Like, I'm making real.
Do you still think this individual is a clown to this day?
Oh, he's been a clown the whole time. And that's not I don't know this person personally, so it's not a personal reference. It's just from what I saw. You know, he's one of the architects of the demise of hip hop, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, I'm an '80s baby, so you know, I grew up, you know, during that era of where I'm like my mom. I'm starting to be like my parents, where they used to say James Brown was real music. So I grew up in
I feel like I'm getting to that zone too.
yeah.
And so, you know, they were just like, you know, we want you to do that. And I was like, I don't do that kind of music. That's goofy music. Like, that's not real rap. That's not real music. And like, well, that's kind of the way we're going to have it. And I was like, I could have took the money and stuff, but you know what I thought of? Again, back to my community. I was like, the stuff, because even though my style was street and it wasn't clean by no means, but I always had this thing, and that's why I love what I loved about Jay-Z. Jay-Z will give you a double and sometimes triple entendre. And that was big on that, you know, and I got that from Jay, but then I had a little mixture of pop where it's like I wanted my music to mean something. But I wasn't really into like the Commons and Talib Kweli, even though I love their messaging. I just always felt like I need the masses to hear it, not a niche. So like, I'll give them the stuff they like, but I'll give you the cake, but I'm stuffing vitamins in the middle of the cake. And so that was big for me to have a message.
Do you feel like, because there is kind of a middle ground between your Talib Kweli's, your Commons, and your Jay-Z, and some people would say that midline would be Nas, Eminem. Do you feel like you kind of rode in that lane that they was kind of rapping in?
I love Nas. Nas, yeah, I guess you could say for his time, you know, when Nas was at his peak, that was a perfect example. Eminem was a little wild for me. Eminem, like he's extreme, so he'll either be way left with some crazy shit, or you know, he'll be on the right where you're like, man, that's a message, you know.
That's the part I'm talking about. When he's on that message, you know. So that's what I gave Nas as my first example, because I kind of feel like, because I'm just like you when it comes to the way I like music. Yeah, you want a little bit of that, but you also want a message, and Nas was that for me. I grew up in that era.
Yeah, so I love messages and storytelling. So I felt like Jay-Z was really great at storytelling and wordplay, and Nas was really great with messaging. You know, and then you had the fun stuff and everything else. And so, you know, I just, after that, and also I had film was starting to kind of move for me.
Uh-oh. If you can hear me, I can't hear you. It just sounds like your audio went out. Okay, there you go. Uh-oh. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, he'll be right back. And while he's getting everything together, let me just go ahead and tell you guys, please be sure to download the Life Gains podcast. This man is coming in here giving you everything. The podcast is right here. Be sure to download it, and you can replay this conversation between me and Dominic Santana, giving you more than just Hightown. Dominic, we got you back.
You're going in slow motion.
Oh, can you hear me now?
You sound like this.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know, but is that better? Do I sound better now?
I can see you clearly, but your audio sounds like this. I don't know how to fix it. Do I refresh it or?
Yeah, one thing you can try is pop back out again. So pop out and come back in. Let's see if that'll work.
I don't even know what you're saying. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Why am I hearing you like? How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
No, your audio is still weird. It's like a horror movie.
Oh goodness, no! And I'm not even getting paid to be in a horror movie.
Should I leave it and come back in? Will that mess up your
leave
recording?
it. Leave it and come back out.
Okay.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are still having just a little bit of technical difficulties. But while he's gone, so far he's talked about his music career. He's talked about this role that he played in All Eyez on Me. And he's talked about how he has a code unto which he does business. He's not just going to take any role for any dollar. And I think that's to be commended. And it was a struggle for him at one point in time. It wasn't like he was making money the whole time. And he still had the intestinal fortitude to just say, hey, that's not for me. I'm going to do something different. Now, while we've all got you guys in here, please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and check out Dominic's IG link, which is in the video description. How am I doing now?
Okay, let me back in, but how about now?
Can you hear me now? How do I sound?
Your audio is, for some reason, it's like super, like you sound chopped and screwed, I think is what it's called.
Let me do this. Let me send you another link and let you click back in.
You said, yeah, I couldn't understand that.
Okay.
So you're going to send another link?
Yes, I'm going to send you another. Yes,
oh, okay.
I'm going to send you another link. Okay.
You sent it to IG?
Yes.
I need to go there? Okay, cool. I'm going to do that.
All right. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a little technical difficulties, but we're working it out right now. We're going to see if we can get back on the straight and narrow with my man, Dominic Santana, who is giving you everything he's got. This brother's not holding back some of the things that are going on in the industry, some of the things behind the industry. And we haven't even got to the fun part yet. And that is exactly why the Chuleta rat on Frankie Cuervez. I got to know. I just got to know, because that was his right-hand man. You know, they was dapping it up. You know, he was handling situations for Frankie. And then all of a sudden, bow. He decided to tell on Frankie when everybody and their mama was disappearing on Frankie. Renee done left with Ray, and let's try him again. How's this? Is it better now?
It's still doing that weird audio chopped and screwed sound. Like you're moving normal, but it sounds like you're in slow motion for some reason.
Uh-oh. I don't know about that.
Has that happened before?
I've never seen it happen. I mean, it's possible. I tell you.
I'm going to screen record this and I'm going to send it to you after we finish.
Okay. Well, how about we do this? How about we do this? How about we reschedule for a different date? Can you hear me on that one?
How about say it one more time?
We reschedule for a different date. Because I don't know how to troubleshoot what the issue is on this one.
That is so weird. It's got to be a way. Let's see. Let me get the settings of audio. See what's happening here. Echo cancel. Automatically adjust mic volume. No. Let's try to take off echo cancellation. Say something else.
Can you hear me now?
I swear I'm not being funny.
No. I believe you. No, because you was on a roll.
Super weird.
You was on a roll.
But it's like, why would it be doing it? But you're moving normal and everything. It's just the audio. Hold on, let me take the AirPods out. Maybe that's
okay. How about now?
Sound like Barry White.
Oh, hey, I want to have a deep voice too. I need a deep voice.
Yeah, you definitely got a deep voice right now.
I know everybody in here is telling us.
But man, I was enjoying this interview.
I know. I know. If you check the thing to the side of the screen, check the notes message on the side of the screen. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, I can't hear you. Uh-oh, we lost him. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a little bit of technical difficulty.
Oh, jeez. I can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him back.
Sorry.
We got him back. It's all good. Hey, man, look. Dom, technical stuff happens, bro. It happens. It happens, man. You are good. So having said that, let's get into some quick recaps of Hightown. Talk about some scenes.
All right.
How did you feel to be filming with what I'm calling the 92 Dream Team of TV shows? What was that experience like to film with all those great people?
Man, it was crazy. It was crazy. They welcomed me, first of all, when I first started working on the show. You know, it's season 2, so it's not like they knew me. I didn't know anybody. As soon as I came in, Amari was one of the first people I was speaking with. And he just embraced me and was talking to me. And, you know, I've been on other shows like The Game and others where it's not my show. And so I come in and I try to just be, you know, quiet and kind of play the background until, you know, I'm introduced to everybody and whatnot. And, you know, it's like being a guest in somebody else's house, you know.
Right.
And but Amari right out the gate, you know, showing me love. Then I met Riley. She was sweet and showing me love. Monica, the day I started, she wasn't even working that day, but she was about to start filming the next episode, the few days coming up past that day. But she came in and just like, hey, I just wanted to meet you and, you know, let you know I look forward to working with you. And I was like, you know, just a bunch of nice stuff right out the gate. And so it made me actually excited, you know, to work with everyone. Luis Guzman, I'm a huge Luis Guzman fan.
Oh, that guy, man.
I was a kid in a candy shop, man. Like, seriously, me and my business partner, my producing partner, we are for years, you know, we watched all of his stuff, huge Luis Guzman fans, quoting him for years. And then I joined the show and find out, you know, I'm going to be working with him. And I was just like, oh, man, I'd have done this for free. Not really.
Right.
But felt like it. And then he was cool. You know, Luis was hilarious. He was cool, smooth cat. And you know, just having a lot of good times talking with, you know, everyone. Even Atkins. I didn't have any scenes with Atkins, but we had some outside the studio on set one day. We had to do interviews and we were back to back. So that was the first time we actually met in person. And he's just the nicest guy. I mean, you said you just interviewed him, so you already know. But
yeah,
you know, I had seen him in season 1, and so I didn't know how he was going to be. And then, you know, see him, he's like, you know, hi, I'm Atkins. You know, nice to meet you. And, you know, I'm like, oh, right. Okay, what's up, man? And so just everybody, you know, Rebecca, you know, Rebecca and Ellen, very open arm, you know, embraced me, took me in, had my back right out the gate because my first day on set, you know, I was annoying the director. And not intentionally. It was weird. It was like my first day. It was almost like, you know, half the crew didn't even know who I was. But in their defense, the scene I was starting with, normally until it's about time for you to speak or you have dialogue, you know, you come in a little bit before that. But they were doing this long one shot when Frankie's out of prison and they're back and he's coming into the club. And so there's this long hallway. So I needed to be there for reference. So we're filming, you know, they kept trying to get the timing right. This is taking hours to get that whole long shot. And so half the day, no one's seeing me do dialogue. I'm just standing in a corner by the door. And so, you know, half the crew didn't even know what I was doing. And so until, you know, finally the cameras and Frankie and Riley make it to me. And then we start engaging and, you know, having some dialogue and whatnot. And so, the director, she was just, they were trying to get this timing thing down with the door. And because the guy who had, I think he had like one or two lines, but he was playing like the club manager that was selling to Frankie. And he comes through the door, and the timing kept getting messed up, from him. He would come in too soon or come in too late or get cued too late to come in. And so the director got fed up with it and was just like, well, Dominic, you open the door. And then when the manager comes in, close the door behind him so he can't see in the club. And then when Frankie gets you, open the door for Frankie and let them walk in. And I was like, nah, I didn't sign up to be the door guy at the club. Like, that's not what my character is. And now, mind you, and this is a problem, I kind of have sometimes because I'm also a producer and a writer. And so, so it's important to me. If somebody writes something a certain way, it's important that it's not just glossed over or changed because of convenience. It's important that you deliver it the way the writer wanted it to be. So, she didn't mean any harm, but when she's telling me this, I'm like, that will make the audience, this is the first time they're seeing my character, that will make them think I work for the club and I'm just a doorman or a bouncer at the club, which I'm not. I'm there waiting for Frank. I'm here to party with everybody. I'm not working here. Right. And that's going to make it look like I work there. And she was kind of just like, that's the way I need it to be. And, Rebecca runs out and she's like, no, he's right. That's not, that will make his character look, unlike something. So everyone, we all were like, okay, it all makes sense now. And so we ended up doing it the proper way and it worked out. So, but yeah, all in all, I came in and felt like I was at home, right away. And, like I said, they all showed me love. And funny enough, Riley's really funny. I had a lot of fun with Riley in different scenes we were doing because we would just be cracking jokes and telling funny stories. And let me tell you how good Riley is. Riley is this good. We'd be in the middle. So, the scene toward the end, I think it was the 9th episode. And I'm walking through the woods behind her. We're going to get the getaway bag, but she thinks I'm going to kill her, Right. So that scene, so while everyone's all like, oh my God, is he going to kill her? No. In between scenes, she and I are telling funny stories and we're laughing our ass off. And they're like, hey, we're ready for you guys. And all right, action. Riley goes right back into, eyes tearing up and being scared and all of that. And they're like, cut. And like, so like I was saying, yeah.
What?
Yeah. I love it.
Oh, man.
Like that. Yeah. Oh, wow. She can turn that thing on, man.
Look, we had a running joke in my house that she was one of my TV wives, right? And I had to cut her.
I saw that. I was like, that's bold.
Well, you believe me, in order to get back into the good graces of my wife, I had to do begging like Keith Sweat. Trust me. A whole lot of begging and singing. But I had to divorce Riley because she kept making, Renee, because she kept making crazy decisions on set. True. So that's why I had to let her go. But I'm glad to hear this behind the scenes about her because, like you said, that just makes you want to show up and turn out and work. When you can work with someone you can get along with that well, it makes you want to do even better. Not saying that you would do bad, but it's more motivation to make sure you execute the way the writers want you to execute.
Oh yeah. And she was great. Amari, like I said, I probably had the most fun just in general with Amari. And Amari's just really dope dude, like really cool. I loved him in Prison Break. My mom
too.
That was her show, so I had to watch it. But I loved it. And I was always a fan. I always loved his voice. And so, I kept messing with him. I was like, hey, keep talking, man. Keep talking. I love your voice. It's like, man, get out of here. And Luis is hilarious. He's another one that can just turn it on and then go back into the story afterward. And Monica wasn't as playful as we were.
Okay.
But I don't mean that in like a negative way. Like Monica makes you like kind of want to straighten up and I got to go higher because Monica's intense, like in a positive way though. It's like Monica's when Monica's doing her thing, it makes you feel like you're not being professional enough. So you're like, oh, okay, you going there, okay, it's real, you know what I mean? But
Right.
She goes deep. She goes deep, man. And you know, with the kind of character she has to portray, those are a lot of layers, and it is a heavy role to have to hold up. And when she comes, very professional, very sweet, and just very much like she's a great example of like you want to see what not just an actor but a professional actor. Monica Raymond is a great example of what professionalism as an actor is like.
Wow, amazing. So I've got 3 scenes for you, just 3. Okay. 2 involve you, and 1 is kind of like a fan favorite. And I just want to get your response on the fan favorite. So I'm gonna say the fan favorite for last.
Okay.
So this is one of the first scenes in which we had a chance to see you on screen, and you got your boy in it with you, and just hearing what you said about your feeling toward both of these actors. This had to be fun. Here we go.
A jacuzzi. Hey.
What the fuck, man?
Chuleta!
What's this motherfucker doing here?
I was waiting in the room for like 3 hours.
Now listen up. I'm headed to a hotel bar where Plymouth Cop will say I've been all night. And you are going back to the club you never left to close out with Renee. ¿Estamos claro?
Estamos bien.
Get her out of here.
Dude, I'm so jealous right now. You in the room with both of these guys, love both of them. Yeah. I was raised by a grandmother who loved Prison Break. That was one of her guys. So tell me, just what was it like to be in that scene, and how did you get yourself mentally for something that was that heavy?
You know, you picked a really good scene, because that scene for me was a surreal moment. Because was it any other time? We had done other scenes together, but not that close. So that was one of the first times we were all 3 standing there that close and spent the whole day, you know, just chit-chatting and, you know, doing that scene. And there were moments where, you know, because they're so cool, you forget, you know, who they are outside of just being cool. And, you know, it hits you. You take a step back and you're like, you know, damn. You know, I'm in a good place. You know, I'm in a really good place where I'm standing around, you know, 2 people I admire and have followed, you know, their careers, especially Luis, you know what I mean? From a little kid all the way up, I've been a huge fan of his. And even Jonah, shout out to Jonah, man. I was like, man, you know, that day I knew I knew I was putting a bag over somebody's body. I wasn't too sure it was her, though. And so, and that's a solemn time too, because it is on a film set. I don't know about, you know, people out there understand this or realize this. When somebody's being killed off on a show, especially if you've been working with them or they've been on the show for a while, it is kind of like a mourning that happens, especially because leading up to it, and this person knows, you know, they're about to be gone off the show. They know they're about to, you know, they're coming into their last time on this show. And it is a sad time, you know, it is sad. It is a mourning that kind of takes place. You know, the person isn't dying, but you know, they're not going to be back with us. We're not going to get to spend that time talking and kicking it and chit-chatting and working, all that, you know, they're going away, you know, and so it's hard on them. And, you know, shout out to Jonah. She didn't show it as much as possible, but you also got to kind of be sensitive to somebody that's getting ready to do that, especially when you're not going to die. You're like, you know, you got to be respectful of, you know, how they're feeling. It's a lot of emotion in that time for everybody.
Right.
And so it was a mixture of all those things. So it was a hell of a moment. And then again, they wanted to make Chuleta coming out of the bathroom like a running theme. So there I was coming out of the toilet. There was going to be another one, but it ended up getting X'd. But I was like, thank God, okay. I think I only did it like twice.
Gotcha. That was a good one, man. And here's one. This is the one that got me in trouble with your character, because I did a whole video calling this dude Scrub Muscle, and the character Chuleta did not like Lamont Tyson for a little bit. Take a look at this one, ladies and gentlemen.
You guys here to turn yourselves in? You don't scare me, because I know you're not going to do shit. Swing your dick all you want. I got 7.5 inches right here.
You talk tough.
You look scared.
Everything okay out here, Jacqueline?
We're cool.
I don't believe you. You need to get your low-rent hoodlum ass off my porch. I called the police.
Watch your pussy, puta!
Now you gotta tell me the truth. Was you talking about Jackie or was you talking about Ali Bali or both?
Man, to be honest, I don't have a damn clue. That would be a Rebecca question. Hell, I didn't know. To be 1,000%, I was so uncomfortable even yelling it. Because where we were shooting in a real neighborhood. It's like 1 a.m. at that point. A couple of the neighbors are kind of just out watching, and so I'm like, yeah. So we're driving off, and I had to do that like 8 times, and so
what 8 times you had to
yell that. Yeah, I had to yell it. And they're like louder. And I'm like, how loud do I want this? You know what I mean? It's already like this because it's nothing I would ever say. So it's like so weird for me. And I'm like, how do you want me? You want it aggressive? Do you want it, and it's 1 a.m. I know the neighbors are, in there like, what the hell is happening outside? But that was the character, it was Chuleta. So
but it worked. It worked. It worked. You invoked a feeling and emotion. It worked. It worked. And you portrayed it.
Trust the writer.
Right. Exactly. And so that scene was so intense. The music made it more intense. You standing behind the guy that was on the porch, and the way Frankie looked at you, like, yeah, I really thought you was about to do that dude, for real. I thought that the back of his head.
That was the whole thing about that, and I'm glad you caught that, because that was the whole thing about that moment. And that look was, this dude is one more word away from, getting folded up on that porch. And so, that's what they wanted you to see and catch, and that little slight nod of Frankie. He did such a good job of it was so slight, but it was so powerful, because you knew, like, he, in that one moment, that sliver of time, he literally just saved that dude's life.
He did.
So what people don't know is, and I'm not going to give it away because it's not my place, but the breakdown of my character, there's a lot more to my character and than what you were able to see. So it was kind of like an intro to my character on this season. But there's so much more, and he's one of the most dangerous people on the show. Now, you don't see me kill anybody. You don't see me do anything but bag a body. So, hopefully, and we get greenlit on the next season, you get to see that flourish more. But also, they did a really great job of keeping my character where I don't end up, in prison at that time or killed, early on. So it was a lot of like, you got to show him a little dangerous, but we also can't wrap him up too much where, we don't get to, flourish with these other attributes of this dude moving forward, if we get blessed with another season. Gotcha. So that's the thing. If people understood the character breakdown, which is everything on paper, that you didn't even get to see half of it in season 2, but the breakdown is, you're like, it would make that even more intense if you knew all of the details of this character in that moment when Frank is, because without Frankie there, it wouldn't even been a thought.
Done. He was done.
Yeah.
He was done.
Yeah.
He was done. And
even the audacity is shown up there.
Right. And you just made a point that I don't expect you to answer here, just simply because I do these theory videos. Because I'm one who watches these shows, and I pick apart the little things that the writers are trying to portray, from the way they do your makeup, to your outfit, to the score, to the head nod. I pick up on all that, trying to put these stories together in between.
And it's all on purpose. So thank you for looking for those things.
Right. Because I'm also trying to help people who might miss some of this stuff. And I'm thankful for shows like this because it allows me to put together my own story with voice and pictures of what's going on in the story to try to keep people entertained through the week while we're waiting for you guys to come back. And you guys did a great job. And you just catapulted to the last clip I want to show about what's going to happen to Chuleta next year. But you've already answered the question for me, basically. But here we go anyway.
This means we got him for murder, right? We got motherfucking Frankie.
We don't got shit till the jury says we do. But yeah, we got him.
Chuleta gave him right the fuck up for killing Daisy. Supposed to be his boy. I guess accessory to murder wasn't his jam. Now we just gotta prove that Frankie killed Jorge.
That's body size problem.
Chuleta gave up Frankie. And I said this could only go two ways. And I'm not expecting an answer from you because we'll just see how it goes next year. Either this dude is very powerful, which that would have to be my first guess. Because in order for you to rat on someone of Frankie's stature, you basically got to be someone equally as powerful or maybe even more powerful. And as loyal as Chuleta was to Frankie for this whole series, this whole season, I didn't see him being someone weak, necessarily just ratting to the police just because he didn't want to go to jail. I felt like there was something deeper. But anything you want to throw in there, man, hey, helicopter.
Well, to be 100% honest, I'm not privy right now to any information of what direction Rebecca Cutter is going into with her team for the next season. All I can do is speculate. I know the character's breakdown because it's funny. Like a little backstory real quick on me even joining the show. At the time, the pandemic was in full swing and my whole industry was shut down. And so Hightown and like a few others were like the first to, get greenlit to get back going. And so, there wasn't really anything to get picked up for. And so back to the Finn Cannons, Lisa Mae Finn Cannon was casting, one of the people working on casting, and reached out to my manager, and they wanted me to read the role. So I did, and when we got the breakdown, it was like, oh shit, like this character, this dude is serious, right? Yeah. So that was that, and there was nothing else really going on. And I'm not saying I jumped my Hightown because there was nothing else going on. I could have just stayed chilling if I didn't want to do the project. But I was like, first, I don't watch a lot of TV. That's the other thing. So really? I was, So I was unfamiliar with Hightown. So I had to go back and watch season 1. And when I watched season 1, I was like, oh man, this is wild and raw, and just I loved it, and it was so real and in your face, and it was so different, it was refreshing. I was like, oh yeah. So that made me want to be a part of it. And so then I get the, I'm looking at the character breakdown, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna be 1,000% honest with you. When I signed on, I thought I was gonna be killing people left and right. I thought I was gonna be just tearing stuff up. So we get in there and episode after episode, I'm like, why does everybody else keep killing people? When do I get to kill somebody?
Put me in the game, coach. Put me in the game, coach.
Yeah, I was definitely kept tame, and I understood though. As we went along, I started to understand. It's like, okay, this is more of like a intro from it, because you notice throughout the season, you see me just kind of randomly popping in and out. Then you start seeing me a little more. I get a little more involved, and I get mistreated by Frankie. And so I think it was the slap. I think the slap was what got him ratted on.
So you must have seen my trailer breakdown, because I made a trailer video with that. I said the kiss and slap of death. I 100% did.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, man. I was like, this is that moment where I thought either you was going to die or you was gonna kill Frankie. That was what I said in the trailer breakdown. So,
man, I got so much hell for that scene too, man. Like playfully, just from family members and friends, and because my true personality, I have more of a boss personality, and I love those kind of roles generally. Like you saw me play Suge Knight in Unsolved and All Eyez on Me and other films and projects. I'm usually the aggressor or the leader or something like that, or just a really strong character. So that was really actually complicated for me, which is something I loved about Hightown because it really challenged me. I had to humble myself. And what I mean by that is, well, I would react this way, but it's like, but this is not Dominic Santana. This is Chuleta. You're playing a character, so you have to stay within that character. But I also knew his breakdown, his character breakdown and all his attributes. So I was like, I can't make this dude just look weak and meek. I have to find a way to be submissive, but not where it's just like, because you said it was actually, I can't remember the video I watched. I think it was the one where you called me scrub muscle. But it's a video I watched you talking about it, and you were right. You were like, what's he gonna do? You know what I mean? He's about useless. And at times it kind of felt that way, but I also understood. I know the streets too, and if the boss is a little 5'2" guy. And you can be 6'5", 7 feet. It don't matter because it's not him you're necessarily worried about. He's the one with all the power. So yeah, you could, he smack you. Yeah, you could tear off on him, but then he's gonna make a phone call, and now you got 20 guys that are also killers that you got to deal with. You know what I mean? And so I think because people only saw me and Frankie together a lot, and not us surrounded by 10, 15 guys all the time. I think some people kind of forgot, like, oh yeah, he is the boss, and he is. If you remember the first episode where we go into the club, those aren't patrons sitting around. That's his whole squad. Those are all. Oh, it was a private party for his team. So all that was a private around there. Yeah, that wasn't patron.
Oh, so the thing that would make you, the thing that would make you think Frankie is disjointed, is because. He's relying on Charmaine for his drugs. So it gives a sense that his network is very small. And I had no idea. You just changed my perspective. I had no idea he had soldiers and hitters and that those guys were them. I had no idea about that. So that's why it felt like it was really a three-man team. You, him, and Jorge. Well, I guess Renee counts too. But it really felt like he was kind of contained since he got out of jail because he was referring to everybody else for the things that he needed. That's what it felt like. Yeah.
So, on that part of it, they did a really good job of keeping the focus on actual individual characters. And it's kind of a catch-22 because if you want to show the overall, it's hard to bounce in and out of individual focus and then overall, conglomerate focus. So you kind of got to pick your poison. And so they did a really good job of giving you time specifically with each individual character instead of just, conglomerating it all together into a blob where you're trying to understand, like, what the hell is going on? But it makes you get really in deep with the characters and fall in love with the characters or hate the character or whatever. But so when you see that first episode, that's all his crew. Like, that, that's not just regular customers in there. And so so then you had to have all of that in mind. I remember the director too. Can't remember if that one was Eagle, but I do remember him trying. He tried so hard, but he was just like, can you be just a little more meek? And I was like, no. And I was like, not to be difficult, but and here's the thing that's important for actors. You are a collaborator. You're not an employee. You're not just there to be there. When you get the job, it's not like, okay, I don't have to try. All I got to do is follow instructions and my job has been done. No, you are a collaborator with the producers, the director, the writer, and your job is to, interpret all of that, the notes they're giving you, what you see on paper, and they expect you to fill it all out. So, you got the producers and whatnot, they give you the bones. The writer puts the muscle and all that stuff on there. And the actors, we're the one who give you the skin, the look of the face, the hair, what all that looks like. That's our job. And so there are times where you have to, but you got to know you got to be prepared and know what the hell you're talking about. because sometimes, you know, the director will ask you to do something that pulls out of who your character is. And in this case, it was slight. It wasn't like a huge change or anything. But I was just like, I can show Chuleta submissive. I can't show him meek because of who he is in the character breakdown. He could kill Frankie if he wanted to.
He could.
It's out of respect for who Frankie is to him that it was. So if you see the look in my face, it was purposely like when he smacks me and he grabs me and pulls my head to his head. When you see my face, it's if you were anybody else, you would be a dead man right now.
Absolutely.
But because it's you, you know, I can't. There's nothing I can do about it. I gotta just accept. You know, I just got slapped. You know, but you know, anytime you treat a grown man like that and a killer like that, it's gonna come back and bite you at some point in time, which it does for Frankie. You know, at the end of the season, it was because that destroys the loyalty of somebody. You know what I mean? And so y'all saw my house on the show. I damn sure wasn't being loyal for the money.
No, man.
So once the respect was gone, it was like, okay, now I don't. There's no loyalty now.
And it's basically kind of like the CIA and Secret Service protecting the president. President doesn't have a weapon. If any one of them wanted to buck, he's done. But out of loyalty and the code that they accept, they follow what they're supposed to do, which is what you did. And I'm glad you stuck to your guns on those scenes, because I'm ready to see more. Because like you said, if Frankie's in jail and those was his people in the club, I can only think that the man who was hanging around him was about to step up, but I ain't gonna speculate right now. I'm gonna make them videos to entertain y'all later. Let me get
hoping, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say real quick, my hope for season 3 is war, man. Osito's out. I'm kind of off the leash. You know what I mean? I've got to figure out what I'm doing. Charmaine's on the run. Yeah, so I'm a fan just like you guys. You know, I don't know every single thing that's happening in the show till I see it too. And I'm like, man, Charmaine's on the run, and now Osito's getting, you know, he's directly working with the plug. So what does that mean for Charmaine? And you know, my character is kind of a wild card now. He has no more ties to anybody and can kind of just do his thing. You know, Frankie's in prison. We don't know if he's living or dying. You know, so I'm hoping it's chaos, you know, next season. And Jackie and Don and Badge and the rest of those guys have to figure it out. And do you remember they threw a nice little Easter egg, and at least I think it's an Easter egg. I don't know if it is or isn't. But the scene with when Ray visits his friend at the DEA, and they said that Frankie and those guys are small time. They're focused on the real big fist, which was New York. So I'm like, is that going to come into play more? Are we going to get a new character where you finally meet the New York boss, and you know how that's going to go? So, yeah,
we have to. We got to meet that guy. We got to meet that guy, and we also need Eddie Murphy to come out of retirement and handle his business with the squad father. We got to have that too. We got to have that.
Look, if they land Eddie Murphy, I'm like, look, you guys are the GOAT. Starz is the GOAT. Rebecca's the GOAT. Everybody's the GOAT.
Gotcha. Let me bring in the fan.
Okay.
It's a lady, because I done told you these women try to jump me about your fine ass. And I'm trying to not get, I don't want no cuts or nothing. So she's about to give her question in. Yeah, so here we go. Coming straight to you, it's the young lady, Miss Moochie. Hey, Miss Moochie.
Moochie, what up?
In the building.
Hey, Lord.
What up, Chuleta?
Oh, Lord.
Sweetheart.
My nephew's name is Dominic.
I like him already.
Yeah. I liked you when you was playing Suge Knight, and when he told me he was coming, I was like, okay, that's the dude that plays Suge Knight too. Because when I seen you come on in this, I was like, oh, it's about to be fire now.
Did you know it was me?
With this season, I thought you was gonna be doing some killing like that too.
Yeah, shit, you and me both.
I thought you was gonna kill Renee that night. I was like that.
No, when I got the script, I was hoping, because I like Riley so much. I was like, dear God, please don't let them have me killing Riley.
And I was like, okay, he's not gonna hurt her.
Never.
The funniest part was the bathroom when you was like, I was in there for like 3 hours. But
they love that little gag. That come out in the house where he tells Amari tells Riley, like, Chuleta's gonna be with you all the time. Chuleta, and then I come out the bathroom, flush the toilet again.
Let me find out you and Osito gonna be working together.
Oh man.
Let me find out.
You know what? I like Atkins, so I wouldn't mind. But I'd rather go to war.
Oh,
yeah.
Look, you already got me open. I'm there.
just like
you got me like, I'm ready.
Yeah, just like I was telling Lamont, man, like you guys didn't get to see, like our character breakdowns that tell all of our attributes and all that stuff. So if they really just unleash that whole character breakdown of Chuleta, I'd rather it be at war with everybody, or at least
you don't gotta
war
tell me you're gonna be the enforcer. I could see it coming. I'm gonna be worried about my dude Osito.
Oh my
Be
goodness.
very worried.
Yeah. Oh damn.
Very
what,
worried.
Moochie, what you got for a question for this man?
Okay. What type of research did you do to play your character? Both Chuleta and Suge Knight.
Okay, I'll start with Suge first. Suge, that was just hours and hours of me finding like obscure videos and just interviews, and not looking for like the main big media interviews, but finding like there was this weird one I found where my guy Petey Pablo like comes in midway through the interview, and the interviewer is just, there's like 5-10 minutes sometimes of just a silence. They're on the beach. And Petey Pablo brings him a drink and stuff. But it's in those moments you get a real taste of somebody's character where they're not performing for the camera, And then also there were people involved in the movie that were there at death row or knew Suge Knight personally. So if you remember, there was a guy who also helped me out a lot. He played Trayvon in All Eyez on Me. He was a tall, light-skinned dude that was always with me. So it was my man Sean Baker and my guy that was real tall, right? That was with me. He was actually a death row artist when they were doing when death row was doing a resurgence, when Suge got out from that whole Vegas thing. And so he was, young cat signed at the time. His name's Eastwood. And so he knew Suge personally. So I had like my Suge whisperer right there as well, because there were sometimes I would see something in the script where I'd be like, man, it just doesn't feel like Suge would say that. And so I look at him like, yo, would Suge ever say something like this? And he's like, nah, Suge would never say shit like that. I said, so tell me some of the sayings you used to hear Suge saying a lot. He would say all the time. And, so he would give me those little nuggets and I would incorporate it. So when the movie came out and, people who knew him saw it and whatnot, it was like, yo, man, you really on your stuff, man. Because Suge, he used to say that kind of stuff all the time, And so you saying all the little sayings Suge would do. But, yeah, so it was a lot of just reading material on him, watching a lot of obscure videos, and then talking to the people that knew him and just asking, give me his personality. What was he like? And then on top of that, he's an Aries. I'm an Aries. He's a boss. I mean, he's done way bigger things than I did, music-wise and company-wise. But I've always been that guy as well. I didn't do the struggling actor thing. I was like, man, waiting on tables. I'm 6'5". What I look like in here waiting tables and doing this? So I became an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? I became an entrepreneur. I started opening businesses and things like that. So even as I'm pursuing my career, I'm a boss leading my team and, doing that stuff. So I just always had the mentality. So it made it to where I could understand being a big man who's usually a leader or the boss of his team that's got to guide his team to success, and being an Aries where, we can be temperamental, if you don't learn to control that stuff early on. And so that's how I got into that one with Hightown. I looked at the breakdown and said, you're going to be playing a Dominican from up north. And so I was like, okay, a Dominican from up north, Cape Cod area. I started finding people online, Dominicans. And so there were Dominican, I remember this couple, I don't know their names, but it was like this Dominican couple from up north that they would talk about what slang Dominicans say or funny things Dominicans always say. And I would just listen to them talk. And then, you know, my family, I'm half Puerto Rican, so I have, you know, my father still has a little accent, and other people I know with accents. Amaury helped me out a lot because I was able to listen to him talk. And I was like, okay, if I'm similar, hitting the accent a little similar, then I know I'm in the zone. So that, and just, you know, thinking about other gangsters I knew, you know, growing up, and hoodlums, and, you know, people in the streets, and, you know, people I knew, you know, that kind of life, you know, that they lived, and the way they kind of acted and portrayed themselves. And I just kind of mixed it all up together.
Well, you did your thing, man. You
Thank
did
you.
your thing. I
that.
hope we see you more.
Oh, definitely.
I hope it is some kind of thing between you and Osito, so we can keep seeing y'all every week, and we could be captive.
That would be.
I'm with
that would
that.
be
I'm with seeing that.
Yeah, that would be exciting.
My second question is, what? I'm surprised he didn't ask this question. Would you be a part of the Marvel universe?
Oh yeah.
Oh, all right. Look.
That's one of the goals. We've had some conversations. My team, you know, we looked at DC as well. You know, my team did a good job I'm not in Black Adam, but in the tail end of when they were putting the crew together over there, I did get brought into the conversation. It didn't work out. So I was like, okay, well, you know, not going to be in the Rock's movie. So maybe there's an opportunity in, you know, the space of Marvel. I'd love to be a part of Marvel as a really cool character. Like Brother Voodoo or somebody like that. Yeah.
I can see you in that too.
So I've been working, like we were just talking, you know, earlier before we started the interview about, you know, working out in the gym a lot. So I'm in the gym. I got back into bodybuilding and just really building my body out to either be in something like the Marvel Universe or I really feel strong that the action heroes are making a comeback, but just in a different form, kind of like with boxing. You know, where when boxing was the most exciting, you know, you love the featherweights like Floyd and others and the middleweights, but it was always a huge event when the heavyweights.
Yeah, man. You had to have them bombs being thrown, bro.
Yeah.
I could see you in a boxing movie. I could see you in one of those tactical military things.
Yeah, that's one of my.
I could see you in all of those things, like an action movie. Yeah, I could see you in all of that.
Yeah, so that's what we're going for, because if you notice, the action movies now, either as far as action heroes go, you're either getting superheroes, which, you know, normal sized cats can play those roles, but as far as like my man Chris Hemsworth, Extraction, you know, which is like a tactical type movie, and Chris I think is 6'4". You got The Rock, of course, doing all those. So the new action hero are the big Titan guys like us.
Yes.
You know, I'm 6'5".
I can't look. I see it.
People love to see them big dogs. They love to see the big dogs getting down. And so I'm jumping into that lane and, you know, going heavy with that.
I see it coming. I'm going to wish you luck. Best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Seriously.
Thank you, Moochie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, later.
Now, that's her thing, man. And be sure to go check her out, ladies and gentlemen. She has a link. Her and her girls do great reviews for the show. They follow this man. Nice. They talked about him in his movie. So go check them out. His link to his IG is in description. And the working out he's talking about, your boy Lamont comes prepared. I got a clip of that for you. This is what you get to see on the man's IG. Take a look.
Now the motherfucking show can stop, because the fucking showstopper is here. I'm the one that you was warned about. I'm the one that you was foretold about. I'm the one that you've been looking for. I am here. Every motherfucking thing can stop now, because I'm motherfucking here.
Let's get it. CT Fletcher style.
Shout out to Pops.
Yeah, man. Let's get it. Well, Dominique, man, you've been extremely generous with your time. I'm so thankful. So very grateful for you to come here and just break some time with us. Let us know what you're doing. So what are you working on now besides Hightown that people can look forward to seeing you in the next couple of months?
I don't know about the next couple of months as far as being able to see it, but I have a movie. It's a bank. It's called The Bank right now, but I think they're changing the name of it. It's a really dope movie. It's an independent, but it's something that's just really cool, a really dope story. It's kind of John Q-ish, which is what made me want to take it. I'm not going to give away too much of the story right now, but I'm the good guy. You know, I'm the hero for once.
Okay.
So it'll be my first film that I am the leading man. So I'll be making the leading man debut and actually as the hero.
Wow.
And
cool.
you know, fighting against the system. And so this is something like everybody can relate to. You know, I'm playing kind of like an everyman, you know, just, you know, getting shafted by the system, you know.
Wow.
And so, and it's timely because it's you know, based on real events of things that happened during the pandemic, you know, how some companies were doing people and whatnot. So I make them regret it on behalf of the guy, you know. Yeah, I stick up for the people. Yeah,
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be doing that one. I have there's a horror movie. Me and my business partner, shout out Chase and Beecham. We have our production company, Polymark Entertainment, and we're moving forward into our first full feature production just under our banner. So we're trying to finish locking in some big names. This story is deep. It's rooted in African folklore for once. So just something that's really unprecedented, something that there's some familiarities to it, but then there's some things in it that haven't been done before. So there's just not a space. We don't see too much of it as far as with, I hate to call it black horror film because it's just a really dope film starring black people, not a black movie. Which is nothing wrong with black movies, but I like to make the distinction because, you know, it's like, oh, all black leads, shifted into this one box. And so, no, it's a movie that everybody of any creed or color can relate to and enjoy. But it's something new, you know. We're focused on fresh and new and just bringing some things that, you know, when everyone's over to the left, we believe to go to the right. And so we've been developing that. I'm going to be starring in that as well. My actual son is going to be co-starring with me in that as my son.
Oh man, congrats!
Yeah. So it's going to be his debut. He's been tried and tested, and he's the real deal. He's really got the bug. So giving him the shot in that, and a couple other recognizable faces you'll see, and then we'll be shifting from that into another film of ours with some other really great and big names that we've been working on putting this film together for like maybe 6-7 years, and finally we're moving into that come May area, I think it is. That'll be an even bigger film. And so we're really just we're ramping up our production company, really just trying to take that forward and into the next level and bring some things out to theaters and Netflix, etc. And then there's some other big thing on the table I can't talk about just yet because we've just started talking about it. If I do it, it will be huge. It will be something a lot of people will be happy about, but we're not sure yet, you know, we're waiting on more information to know if that's the route I want to go. So, and then a couple other things up in the air that I don't want to call it out yet because they're not nailed down, but some other really cool stuff.
Wow, man, ladies and gentlemen, you can't keep a good brother down. And this is the man, we've reduced him to one synonym, the Dom. Dominic Santana has came here, give us some time. We're going to give this man a hand and say thank you. Anytime you've got something coming out, my brother, please don't hesitate to let me know so that I can get up here, let you talk about it, ask you the tough questions, and try to make sure we can get as many people in my audience to go and support you and see you. And so that there ain't no more threats on my life in the gym when these women want to know what your moves are. So having said that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you on the next one. Till that next Sex is Hell video, we'll see you. Go check out Dom on IG. Follow this man. He's there.
Appreciate you.